Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
The treatment doesn't get any better than what you receive at St. Jude. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
For writers and public personalities, it's becoming increasingly important to have an online presence. This normally takes the form of a website and social media. However, things like a cluttered site or broken links can scare potential readers away. It's time to get a health check. Until the 30th of June, Black Wolf Editorial Services is offering a special website health check package. Get a new bio for your site. Have the site navigation and general layout assessed. Get a review of your Twitter activities. Get an objective opinion about your public Facebook page. Find out what works well and what could potentially scare your readers away. And all this for $35. At the end of the day, the face we put online will be the one that most people will see. Let us help you put your best foot forward. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For full details and a list of other services, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? America Off the Rails has been declared a conservatives-only safe zone. Only conservatives allowed from this point forward. Any liberal, socialist, butthurt, hippie, tree huggers, please exit the facility immediately. Again, attention please. America Off the rails is now designated as a conservative safe zone only. All butthurt, tree-hugging, hippie, free-to-be, you and me types exit the facility immediately. Thank you.
We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
Oh, welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy. Don't expect us to admit a mistake. We're paying off election.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
All right, folks, well, happy Wednesday evening. That's right, it is July 20th, 2016. If you're listening to us live right here on Canadian Talk, for everybody else, it's Thursday or maybe even Friday, depending on when this particular episode gets out to the affiliates. I do hope everybody's having a great week. It's been a crazy week. It is, of course, the Republican National Convention. Unfortunately, I have been sick off and on this week, so I have been kind of hit and miss with shows this week. I hope those of you that have been catching replays here and there, I hope you've enjoyed them. I'm doing everything I can to get back to doing full-time radio as much as possible. I do want to thank those of you that have reached out. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. And we will continue to do the show on all available affiliates for as long as possible. Now, lots of things to talk about. Of course, we're going to start off with something a little lighter because I figure, everybody's probably, if you're a Trump supporter right now, you're really angry at Cruz. And if you're kind of on the fence with Trump, you're pretty angry at Cruz. And if you're like me and you can't stand the whole mess and you think conservatives got the shaft, you're cheering Cruz. But we'll have some of his speech later. And then we'll kind of talk about it a little bit and point out a couple things that I didn't like. And I've actually pointed those out to even some folks here at the station in our network because, we always have folks of differing opinions. I'm the general manager, programming director guy around here, but I'm not the one that tells everybody what opinions to have. We have shows of all stripes here. We have hosts that are Trump supporters. We have hosts that are not Trump supporters. We even have a couple here and there that are liberals. We've got some libertarians. Myself officially now, since it's a recognized party in Oklahoma. But one of the things I always try not to do is be the guy that says you have to think a particular way. So it doesn't matter to me if people disagree with me. It doesn't necessarily matter to me if they don't like my opinions. As long as they don't attack me personally, that's where I start having an issue. When we have people that want to resort to name-calling and things like that, I have a problem. That's been happening a lot more on social media, and even when I occasionally take callers, it's happened with folks on the air before. Usually don't open the phone lines that often because, hey, it's usually pretty late when I'm doing a live broadcast. Who the heck wants to talk to me at 11 o'clock at night Eastern time? But anyway, so we're going to start off with something a little lighter. Maybe you've heard about a lot of the stuff going on with Melania's speech. A lot of folks are like, oh my God, I can't believe that they actually plagiarized part of a speech. And then the folks that are like supporting Trump are all like, this isn't that big a deal. It was only a couple sentences. I'm sorry, I've done a little bit of checking. Apparently there were questionable statements in most of the speech, most of which can be tied back to previous speeches. Now, in fairness, apparently Michelle Obama borrowed a lot of the stuff from that speech as well. But my point is, aren't we as conservatives always the ones that are saying that we're supposed to be better than the other guys? We've kind of lost that this election cycle, or is it just my imagination? We don't have the ability to look at our Democratic opponents and say, we as conservatives, we stand for things that you don't. And I'll get to why I'm saying that in a little bit when we listen to Cruz's speech, because I do have quite a bit of that we're going to play, so we're going to save it for the last part of the show, that way, last half of the show, so we can come back from the break, play the extended clip, and then spend the rest of the show talking about it. But first, let's talk a little bit about this speech with Melania. Look, I'm not going to lie. She's an attractive lady. She's a smart lady. Apparently, English is her 5th language. I don't know very many people in this country that were born here that could speak 5 languages. So yet another point that maybe we need to do something about our education system rather than continuing to turn it over to the government. But at the same time, the thing about it is, and maybe it's my tinfoil hat showing, but I think the Trump campaign knew that the speech was plagiarized, because look at all the coverage that she's gotten from it. Not only that, but here in a second I'm going to play you an Easter egg. I bet you nobody even caught this one. This isn't even really a plagiarism. She actually literally in the speech got rickrolled. It wasn't something that she borrowed from anybody. It wasn't something that the speechwriters threw in, I think, to drum up publicity, because now you have started to see earlier today all these tweets start coming out where Trump is praising how much attention his wife's speech has gotten. To my mind, that means that he literally threw his wife under the bus for attention. And I think he knew it. And that's one of the things that I want you to understand. Look at what this man is willing to do to win. It is not always a good thing, folks. When you're willing to step over your own family members in hopes of getting to the White House, that could be a problem. And I firmly believe that his aides and he himself knew that the majority of that speech was plagiarized, but he knew that the majority of Republicans were going to defend him, because it's what we do, because we're supposed to be the good guys, and by God, why are we making such a big deal about this when Hillary Clinton murdered people? You know how many times I've heard that this week? I'm not discounting anything that she's done. Nothing. But when our answer to that is to put up this guy, I have a problem. When our answer to combat evil is to put up someone who, in my estimation, is equally as evil, then I have a problem. It's the same thing I said last night on Twitter when my internet connection was being cranky, which is why there was no Jen and Rick show last night. I was able to keep my phone logged in well enough to at least play the home version of the radio show, which is on Twitter, having fun with folks. But we weren't able to do a live broadcast thanks to the fact that, for those of you who don't know, my compound's out in the middle of nowhere, so occasionally the internet hamster falls off the wheel, and that's just kind of how it goes. But so anyway, so last night and this is the second time I've heard this. Rudy Giuliani said the same thing the night before, and now yesterday Chris Christie said nearly the same thing, talking about what a great person Donald Trump is and how nobody knows what a great guy is unless they've spent time around him. He's been my friend for forever. I'm thinking, look, if he was your friend, you guys didn't look very friendly on the debate stage. So either that was a load of crock or something's up. Not only that, but if you have to be the one as someone's friend to go around and tell everybody how great your friend is after everybody's met your friend, that's a problem. That only works before people get to know that person. That's your chance to hype them up. That's your chance to say, hey, this guy's great. You should meet him. We should hang out. We should have a few beers. We should play some cards. That's how that works. And then once people meet that person, they get to form their own opinion. The problem is nobody likes Donald Trump except for possibly, I guess, Rudy Giuliani and Chris Christie. And that probably pretty much sums it up, except for maybe his third, fourth wife. But anyway, speaking of third, fourth wife, before we get too far into this, I want to go ahead and play this because we're going to be able to talk about this for at least a couple minutes. I'm sorry, I heard this and I about died, so here we go.
He will never ever give up. And most importantly, he will never ever let you down.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
That's right, folks, let's hear it again.
He will never ever give up. And most importantly, he will never ever let you down.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
So not only was a potential first lady thrown under the bus by her husband's speechwriters, apparently they thought it was funny to rickroll her at the very same time. So come on. The plagiarism is one thing, but rickrolling the first lady, potential first lady, come on. Okay, so anyway, but seriously, I mean, come on. That's what I'm saying. This stuff has to be intentional, right? I mean, look at all the crazy things that have happened throughout this campaign. They apparently knowingly plagiarized a speech because Trump was bragging about all the publicity that the speech brought his campaign. Again, free news coverage, etc. And now, of course, there's this little Easter egg that nobody knew about. And I'm sorry. Are you telling me that the writers missed this, or was this intentional? Speaking of things that were intentional, within seconds of Donald Trump reaching the delegate count last night to be declared the nominee, I saw a commercial that about made my skin crawl. And then I saw the same thing start popping up on Twitter. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just cranky. Maybe I really am the dinosaur that everybody says the Conservative Party or the conservative movement has become. Because as soon as he secured the nomination, they went to commercial, and they started talking about these energy drinks that you could get for a $10 donation. And they were all named things like Make America Wake Up Again or some other weird stuff like that. And some of them had Trump's name, and most of them had Trump's picture. And it was for any $10 donation, you can get any drink of your choice. Help us defeat Hillary Clinton. Look, so I know that everybody has to make money to be able to run a campaign. I understand it's very expensive to run a campaign. But when did we turn the nomination process for the White House and the election process and for the White House into an infomercial? And it goes one further. One of the speakers outlined for the RNC is someone who was, I don't have their information in front of me, I'll find it in a second, but apparently they were listed as a small business owner. Apparently, according to the paperwork, they employed about 100,000 people, which is more than Apple employs in the USA right now. So it would be a little interesting that they would be still considered a small business employee. But what they actually do, and I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to give them any publicity, but they sell supplements, questionable supplements based on pseudoscience and questionable science articles out of little bitty papers that nobody's ever heard of. And their structure is a multi-level marketing program. For those of you who don't know what that means it's a pyramid scheme. This person was allowed to speak at the RNC today. Okay, I understand I'm a conservative, which means by default I'm a capitalist. I accept that. I fully understand that. But what I'm not an oligarchist. We are becoming an oligarchy. Or in my little made-up word, what I like to call it is a corptocracy. That is what the presidency of Donald Trump will entail. I've been saying that for months. I've been saying it now for nearly a year. That is what the presidency of Donald Trump will entail. Actually, at this point, I guess it's been about a year. This is the one thing that he has been after that up until now money has not been able to buy him. And that's why, if you'll notice, there are stories coming out now about a private conversation between Trump Jr. and the governor of Ohio, Mr. Kasich, when he was offered the VP position and said, I know you, and basically the conversation went something a little like this. I know you and my dad don't really get along, but how would you feel about being the most popular vice president in history? Kasich inquired, what exactly does that mean? And basically, he was told in no uncertain terms that in the Trump administration, the vice president would do the majority of the work that the president does, mainly be in charge of domestic and foreign policy, which is pretty much everything the president does. And when Kasich asked, well, what would President Trump be doing, with kind of a smile and a wink and a nudge, the younger Trump said, of course, what do you expect? Making America great again, like he said he was going to do. Now, why do I bring this up? Because for the first time in history, we have two people at the top of the ticket that are abdicating or potentially abdicating the majority of their responsibilities to other people. We have Donald Trump, who is basically for the first time ever going to elevate Pence to the point of basically being a co-president instead of a vice president, which last I checked was unconstitutional. Their duties and everything are pretty well defined in the Constitution. Vice president, kind of breaks ties in the Senate once in a while. Other than that, I'm sure he's like scrubbing baseboards with toothbrushes. Of course, unless it's crazy Uncle Joe, who spends most of his time locked up in the attic with the Silence of the Lambs mask on to keep him from talking. I don't think we'll have that problem with Pence, at least I hope not. He seems to follow the nods pretty well from Trump already, because during the 60 Minutes interview with Trump that happened Sunday, Pence was asked about a reversal that he had with policy with Trump, and when Pence remained silent, Trump said, "It's okay, you can answer." So obviously this guy's already basically been told where he lies and what's going to be happening with him. And I don't know, I don't have much hope for the country anymore, folks. I'm really trying to stay positive. I'm trying to look at things like 2020. I've been working to try to solidify the Libertarian Party here in Oklahoma, to give Oklahoma more choices, because for the first time in a long time they're on the ballot. But at the same time, I don't really align very well with the Libertarian Party. There are things that they believe in that I don't. And I understand that each party has its own fringe movements, but the thing that this election cycle has taught me is conservatism no longer has a home. The GOP used to be the home for conservatism. We don't have a home anymore. The GOP has been co-opted. It has become a populist party. People are being controlled by their emotions, much like the left. And it's not what I signed up for. I mean, I know people that have been doing this type of stuff much longer than me. I've been doing the whole writing and radio thing now, in between Facebook pages, blog post, magazine or online magazine posts, etc., for about 7 years. And I got to tell you, there are days when I think about hanging it up. Some of you right now are cheering. I didn't say I was going to. I said there are days when I think about it. But then I think about something else. I think about the fact that for decades, we have asked our leaders to stand up and do what was right, even if it cost them their life or possibly even their careers. So how is it that someone who has been espousing that and calling for that, I myself, can't be willing to do the same thing? Because I got to tell you, folks, this is not easy. This is not always fun. I know all of you, because trust me, I was there. You start hearing all these guys on radio and internet radio and on TV and everywhere else, and you're like, oh my God, they have it so easy. They only have to work for a couple hours a day. They do this, they do that, and then they're done. And they have all these people that know their name, and they have people that talk to them all the time, and they're practically famous. And let me tell you, from somebody who started this from the ground up, I mean, trust me, I'm not Rush Limbaugh, I'm not Sean Hannity. I'm not even as well known as some of the local hosts around here, but I am getting to be fairly well known. And I don't say that to toot my own horn. What I'm saying is, be careful what you wish for, because it's a lot more, from this side of it, it's a lot more hard work than you think. And I'm not saying that there are not days that I wake up and I love every second of it, and I love spending time with you guys, and I love the interaction that we have on social media, and I love the folks that take time to send me emails and all of that stuff. It's all great. But when we're watching our country burn, and all of us start talking about taking our toys and going home, I have a problem with that. And by that, no, I'm not talking about those of us who are not going to vote Trump. Because I'm not. Okay, so look, the thing that I need to be honest with you about that is, I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. I never have been. I've told you why I can't vote for him. All I'm going to ask you to do is the same thing that Ted Cruz asked you to do tonight, that now he's catching 9 kinds of grief over. Vote your conscience up and down the ticket. If you think Donald Trump is the one that can get the job done, and you think he's going to be the best one to do the job, then by all means, pull the lever for Donald Trump. I've never told any of you who to vote for. I get attacked all day long for telling you who I'm not going to vote for, but I'm not trying to tell you who you should vote for. That is not my right, that is not my place, and you shouldn't have to tell anyone who you're going to vote for. It's nobody's business but yours. I do it because I've placed myself in the public eye. I do it because by talking to you, if some of you were questioning like I was, because remember, when this started, if you've listened for a while, I was pro-Trump for about a month. I really was. I was this close to buying a ticket to the train. I'm not even going to lie. And then I started noticing all the little subtle changes. All the times where he said one thing in one place and said something else in another. All the times when, he's not polished. Okay, I get that. I understand that. That was one of the things that I liked. But the man has no off switch. He doesn't know when to stop. It's like watching a guy who's a professional boxer go into a ring with somebody who doesn't know anything about fighting and just watching them pummel them over and over and over and over and over and over and over till they're a bloody pulp, they're not moving, and yet he's still punching and still punching and still punching. He doesn't know when to stop. He doesn't know when to stop banging the drum. He doesn't know when to stop selling his goods. He doesn't know when to stop promoting. And as a reminder, he basically just told everybody that Pence is going to do the job if he gets elected, and Donald Trump is going to pull an Obama. He's still going to be out doing the stump speeches. He's still going to be out marketing and campaigning. So again, just like I've been saying now for over a year, we're going to have Obama 2.0 no matter which one of these two people get into the office. And I know you don't want to hear that, and I know you get mad at me every time I say that, but it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. And he has pretty much just told you that. And shown you that. And I don't understand why I'm the one that keeps catching grief for it. I even have people that are voting for Hillary that are mad at me because I won't pick one or the other. Because as far as they're concerned, voting for anybody else gives each half of the two main parties a vote. I'm not sure where that math comes into play, but I guess I'll let them have that. I really don't care. I am going to vote my conscience because it's the only thing that I know how to do. The absolute positive only thing that I know how to do is to vote my conscience. All right, folks, so it's about time for us to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we've still got the cruise audio. We're going to play that, dissect it a little bit, maybe back it up, play bits and pieces of it again, kind of go through it. Don't worry, I trimmed it down a little bit. We've only got 5 minutes of it. But as far as I'm concerned, it was the most important 5 minutes. When we come back, we do have that audio. You are listening to America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We will be right back here in just a couple minutes. Don't go away.
We got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom unless you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect for fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network. Radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
For our own cause, we got a pen and telephone to bypass all your laws. Political correctness will replace the Bill of Rights. Support religious freedom, lest you pray to Jesus Christ. The press is in our pockets cause there's no longer free. You cannot make a move now that the NSA can see. Don't expect equality, respect, or fair play. The IRS will target those who vote the wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome to the place.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. We're in the second half of the show already. My, oh my, where does the time go? So without further ado, here's the clip from the Cruz speech from tonight or last night, depending on when you're listening to the show. So here we go.
And to those listening, please, don't stay home in November. If you love our country and love your children as much as I know that you do, stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution. Enthusiasm of the New York delegation. will tell you it is love of freedom that has allowed millions to achieve their dreams. Like my mom, the first in her family to go to college. And my dad, who's here tonight, who fled prison and torture in Cuba, coming to Texas with just $100 sewn into his underwear. And it is love that I hope will bring comfort to a grieving 9-year-old girl in Dallas. And God willing, propel her to move forward and dream and soar and make her daddy proud. We must make the most of our moment to fight for freedom, to protect our God-given rights, even of those with whom we don't agree, so that when we are old and gray, and when our work is done, and we give those we love one final kiss goodbye, we will be able to say, freedom matters, and I was part of something beautiful. The case we have to make to the American people, the case each person in this room has to make to the American people, is to commit to each of them that we will defend freedom and be faithful to the Constitution. We will unite the party, we will unite the country by standing together for shared values, by standing for liberty. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the United States of America.
All right, so I decided to cut it off there. It gets worse from there. Apparently, there have been stories about Cruz's wife having to be escorted out by security. Someone, I guess, in one of the donor suites decided he thought it would be fun to try to attack Cruz. I'm not sure if there was an assault involved. But I have a lot to say about even just that 5-minute section, because one of the first things that really got my blood boiling, and maybe it's just because I spent some time in uniform, was when Cruz was talking about the daughter of the slain, one of the daughters of the slain law officers in Dallas, and that the crowd was doing nothing but shouting, endorse Trump, endorse Trump, endorse Trump. Look, right, wrong, indifferent, here's the thing. Cruz met with Donald Trump and he told him in the meeting he would not endorse, and yet Trump still asked him to speak anyway. Now, you may think that Cruz is a snake. You may think that he was doing something to start trying to propel himself forward for a 2020 run. I tell you, from what I heard of that speech, and I've gone back and listened to it multiple times getting ready for tonight's show, I didn't hear that. I heard someone who was trying to make everyone else understand that conservatism still matters. Because the entire GOP has turned their back on conservatism as a whole. They have adopted a nationalist populist movement. They have turned their backs on values that they once espoused, and he's one of the last people standing up for those values. So you can call him, and even me, whatever names you want in the book. It doesn't change the fact that we have spent our entire lives saying that we want leaders who will stand up and do what's right no matter the consequences. We finally have one who did it, and now everyone is decrying him. Even people that are on my side of the argument are decrying him. Because it looked like he was trying to propel his 2020 campaign. Look, I'm sorry. The only thing that I'm going to say about that is since he didn't walk out with 2 fingers up and saying, I'm out 2020, beep. Yeah, that didn't happen. It didn't. What did happen was he kept his word. Now, I want to remind you of a few things for those of you that are shouting down Cruz right now and bemoaning him for refusing to endorse Trump. Let's not forget what Trump did during this campaign. Let's not forget. He had people start attacking Cruz's wife, talking about how she was affiliated with Goldman Sachs and how Goldman Sachs is evil and it's a big bank which makes Cruz part of the establishment. And yet now more and more of Trump's people are affiliated with Goldman Sachs. So it was not okay for Cruz's wife to be affiliated with Goldman Sachs, but people that are actually now affiliated with Trump's campaign can be associated with Goldman Sachs. I'm a little confused as to how that works. Maybe I missed a memo somewhere. Let's not forget something else. The affairs broken in the Inquirer. Have we forgotten about those? Whatever came out with those? Cruz and his wife are still together. No major fallout. What happened to those stories? Because the funny thing about stories like that is if you're a politician and stories like that are true, they never get let go. They never get let go. Look at what happened with Anthony Weiner. Look at what happens when people that are in the public spotlight do stupid things. Jim and Tammy Baker. Again, Anthony Weiner. Bill Clinton. Did we forget about the Inquirer? I didn't. Did we forget about Donald Trump basically using a story that accused Cruz's father of being tied up in the Kennedy assassination? And now you guys want to give him grief for not endorsing the man who accused him of being unfaithful to his wife, then attacked his wife, then attacked his father? And you have a problem with the fact that he stood up there and he told the world, you vote your conscience? I don't have a problem with those words because that's the same thing that I've been telling everybody from day one. I don't care who you vote for, as long as you are voting your conscience. You must vote your conscience because you have to be the one to look yourself in the mirror every day after you've made that choice. And I will tell you one thing, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. As far as I'm concerned, Ted Cruz has testicles of steel. Because not only did he do exactly what he said he was going to do, he walked into what he knew was going to be the lion's den, and he stood up for conservatism, and he puffed his chest out and said, these things still matter, even if they don't matter to you. And that's where we are in America, folks. You have to decide for you yourself, if you are conservative, what being a conservative means. If it means you fall in line and you toe the party line, no matter what, even if you can't stand to look at the guy that they want you to get in line behind, fine, you do that. You have to be the one to answer that question for yourself. As for me, I know what conservatism means to me. If I didn't, I wouldn't do this every day. Do you know how hard it would be to do this every day if I had no belief system? Do you know how hard it would be to do this every day if I didn't have some sort of guiding principle as my compass? I mean, yeah, because of that, I may never be one of the guys that makes it to the top because I'm not willing to sell my soul to get there. But I didn't start this to get rich. I started this because too many people weren't paying attention. And I thought that if we just got enough people awake, they would start paying attention. The problem is a lot of people woke up. Just didn't realize how angry we all were on the inside. That's the one thing the last 8 years have done. They've made all of us so angry in so many different ways. And we're reacting in different ways. And we should be because people are different. Not everybody reacts to stress the same way. So I understand those of you who were looking at that speech and you saw one thing while I see something else. But all I really want you to do is remove emotion from the equation for just a moment. Put yourself in Ted Cruz's shoes. Going back and looking at everything that the Trump campaign did to your family, would you have endorsed him? Now, it's easy for you to say, well, I just wouldn't have gone, and maybe that would have been a better choice. But since Cruz was upfront with them and told them, I will not be endorsing him, but yes, I'll speak if you want me to, and they still asked him to go anyway, then whose fault is it really? He could have told the line. If you've listened to my co-host before, there are plenty of, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there are plenty of people that think he should toe the line, because the GOP got him where he is today. But again, I go back to what I said just a minute ago. As far as I'm concerned, the man has testicles of steel. Because he stood up for what he believed in, regardless of the consequences, even though now there are hundreds of people on Twitter saying they're never going to vote for him again. Which is exactly what we say we want our leaders to do until they do it. I don't understand how we've gotten to this point. We sit on social media all day long, and on radio all day long, and on TV all day long, and all we hear from everybody is, all I want is a leader that's going to stand up and do what's right. Stop listening to the polls. Stop listening to opinion. Just do what you know you're supposed to do. Follow your conscience, follow your heart, and follow the Constitution. That is the basic tenets of conservatism broken down in 3 sentences. Follow your conscience, follow your heart, and follow the Constitution. Not even necessarily in that order. We finally had somebody who did it. He stood in the middle of unfriendly territory and outlined everything that conservatism stands for, and he was decried for it. People weren't even listening to what he was saying because he wouldn't open the speech by endorsing Trump. There were entire delegations of people during the whole time that he was speaking that were shouting over and over and over again, endorse Trump, endorse Trump, endorse Trump. And he wouldn't do it. He could have done it. He would have gotten rousing cheers. And if Trump does anything that he says he's going to do and actually gets elected and does a halfway decent job, he might have made sure that at some point he gets to keep his job. But he didn't think about that. Now again, some of you have told me privately, and you shall remain nameless, that you think that he is pointing his sights towards 2020. That was basically his springboard to get himself to 2020. Some of you think his speech sounded pretty self-serving. I couldn't disagree more. I think his speech he said in his speech exactly what he needed to say. Because for just a couple brief moments, I had hoped that conservatism wasn't dead in America. Now, I know a lot of you that listen to a lot of the different affiliates that this show airs on are Trump supporters, and I know that some of you happen to stumble across this show every once in a while, and usually you're screaming and wanting me to be called off the air as quickly as possible. Look, I'm not trying to tell you what your opinion should be. All I'm asking you to do is take 5 seconds when nobody's around. Turn the TV off, turn the radio off, find a mirror, close your eyes, take a deep breath, open them, and sincerely ask yourself, who is the best choice for this country? If you can honestly say that Donald Trump is the best choice for this country, then I have no qualms with who you vote for. I know some liberals listen to this show. So again, if you can do those things, close your eyes, take a deep breath, while standing in a mirror, open them, and ask yourself, who is the best choice for America? If Hillary Clinton, as a liberal, is your choice, then I have no qualms for who you vote for. Because again, it is your right. People have fought, bled, and died to give you the right to stand up for what you believe in. So the fact that we are now shouting down someone who did that very same thing that we tell every single one of you every election cycle that you have to do, not because it's for you, but because other people have died to give you the ability to do so. And we shout down someone who did just that. Stood up in front of God, country, and the world and said, my beliefs, which used to be your beliefs, still matter. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, folks, but the GOP is dying. We had the most diverse group of candidates in our history. And we wound up with the two oldest, whitest guys that we could find. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, folks, but the Democratic Party's dying. They're the ones that used to always scream about diversity. They elected the first black president, who was supposed to be the one who stopped the seas from rising and healed racial divides. Racial divides are worse than they've been since the 60s. And in stark contrast, the party of diversity didn't even put up a diverse field of candidates. And now we're looking at the oldest, whitest woman in history to be their nominee. That's right, folks. Both parties are to blame. You may not want to face it. You may not want to accept it, but it's the truth. We have allowed ourselves to be fooled. I myself am done being fooled. I cannot, will not, and should not tell you who to vote for. But again, because I am a public figure, I will tell you who I'm not voting for. It is not Hillary Clinton, and it is not Donald Trump, because I don't think that either one of them are good for the country. This is not a situation where the lesser of two evils mandate applies, because as far as I'm concerned, they are equally evil. Neither of them is better than the other. There's just no way around it. They're equally evil in their own separate ways. Honestly, I think Trump's evilness may even be a little more insidious than hers, because at least with hers, we know what we're getting. And I'm sorry, Hamilton Doctrine. Been talking about that now for months. The Hamilton Doctrine. For those of you who don't know what the Hamilton Doctrine is, I would encourage you to look it up. But a brief paraphrasing of it is, better to have an enemy in the White House not affiliated with our party so that we can clearly oppose them than to have someone from our own party doing irreparable damage and harm. And again, that was a complete paraphrase, so I do encourage you to look it up, especially if you want to start using it. But at this point, folks, I got to say, I'm out of steam. I've spent years building a platform, building up a voice to try to make sure that 2016 was our year. It was the year that we took back the White House. It was the year that we held on to the Senate. It was the year that we held on to the Congress, or the House of Representatives, so that we could finally show everyone what it truly means to be conservative, because so many people have woken up. Being conservative doesn't mean what it means to the liberals. Pardon me. That's why I've been so angry with the Trump crowd. Because he took every stereotype of what it means to be a Republican and he ran with it. And he won. You realize how many liberals are making fun of us on a daily basis now because he is basically a cartoon caricature of everything they have ever hated about our party, and now he's the nominee. I don't understand how we got here, and I don't understand why since the first time in pretty much my lifetime, because the last time it really happened was Reagan. And I was a kid when Reagan was president. I'm old, I'm not that old. But in my lifetime, this was the first time that I was old enough to pay attention to it and know what happened. That someone actually stood up, told us what they believed, and stood by what they believed. And for that, regardless of what happens with Ted Cruz's career, he will always have my undying respect. Told all of you from the beginning he wasn't my first choice, wasn't even my second choice, but once I really started listening, I could hear something I hadn't heard since childhood. Because Donald Trump and the Trump crowd like to paint him as the next Reagan. Because he's the out-of-the-box guy. He's the out-of-left-field guy. He wasn't really much of a... He's never been a politician. At least Reagan was a governor before he was president. You know, we've already elected a community organizer. Now we have a shot at electing a reality TV star as president, who's already started infomercials and fundraising schemes. Nice job, America. I don't know where we go from here, folks. All right, so at this point, folks, we are about out of time. We are going to try to be back with the Jen and Rick show tomorrow night. I'm not sure if it will be with my co-host or with a stand-in because the co-host is still traveling. And the other issue that we had on top of my hamsters being extremely cranky last night was the fact that she was out in the middle of nowhere even further than I was, and the systems just were not getting along with each other very well. But on that note, folks, I am out. It has been an extra long night because I was so wrapped up in watching all the RNC stuff to prep for the show, I completely lost track of time, so I was 10 minutes late for my own show. Alright, so at this point, we are out. I'll be back with you tomorrow night. Don't go away. And just remember, even if I disagree with what you say, it's time to put down the remote, get off the couch, and find a way to get involved. We only have a short time to try to take the country back, folks. I just don't think Hillary or Trump can do it. I'll see you when I see you. God bless.
Everything you earn by breaking your backs, we're gonna redistribute when we make our pay tax. Hey, sit down. Don't.